Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly TV news where we talk about pilot orders and series orders and renewals and cancellations and series pickups and casting and everything else in between that interests and feels worth talking about. So there won't be any Star Wars talk on this episode, just for the record.
It's a shame that it's already in the headline.
You're really... I will not put it in the headline just to spite you.
Yeah, you might do that, but you want the clicks.
I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit for 1 week just to spite you. just to spite you.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is where we talk about TV news, and then sort of give you a general update on what's going on, TV review schedule wise, and all that other stuff. First things first, if there was anything that didn't happen in the last week or two, it's just because Connor was sick and had toothache back to back, and there was a good week and a half there of very late recording for the pair of us. I did some stuff on my own. I did one episode of Handmaid's Tale on my own and stuff. But
Yeah.
if you were looking for Too Old to Die Young or 3%, for example, which we are still doing, don't worry, that's why they weren't here for the last little bit.
I was ill for like 3 days, which was pretty bad, and then I cracked my tooth, which was an absolute bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's why there was no TV news last week, and so on and so on. So anything that didn't happen in the last week or two, that's why, basically. So no, but we are here now, and we're going to talk about what happened in the past week or so in the terms of TV news. And up right away, we have a cancellation right after the season 2 finale aired, within 48 hours of it. In fact, Krypton has been cancelled by Sci-Fi. And it's also scrapped the plans for a Lobo spin-off, which it was kind of looking at developing earlier in the season. And all this is now dead.
Not surprised because Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi cancel everything. It's very hard to get invested in anything they do, because making it to season 3 on Sci-Fi is a bit of a, like, if you get a season 3 on Sci-Fi, you'd get a medal, and even then you're probably getting cancelled after season 3.
We have a friend who's been watching through Killjoys recently. Like, Jesus Christ, that's got to season 5.
Yeah. I think that, honestly, but that's much cheaper. That is a much cheaper show
it is.
than this. And certainly much cheaper than The Expanse was.
Oh, yeah. I want to point out, I did see the viewing figures for this. It was in one of the articles for it. And season 1 averaged 1.8 million, per episode. Season 2 averaged 400,000. So I can see why they've made this decision. It sucks, and I like Krypton, and it's shit that it ends with cliffhangers. But if it was me making the call, on a financial sense, I'd probably be making the same decision.
No, it makes sense. It's rough, and it's maybe a sign that shows like this just don't work as well on network, or in this case, basic cable TV channels anymore. Like, would this work better as a show on DC Universe, where it's playing to its niche audience?
Which I think we should mention. I mean, there's already a campaign on Twitter going to save it.
Sure.
It's not out of the realms of possibility that it does end up on DC. Because, I mean, there was speculation before season 2 started, when they made a big deal about season 1 coming onto DC Universe, and they made a big deal about promoting it all on there. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that it might get picked up on there at some point. I think though this type of show, especially at this quality level, is too expensive for basic cable, which is sad because it means they probably are looking at this repeatedly and going, well, we need to go cheaper.
Yeah,
right?
the funny thing about it though is obviously 400,000 viewers probably sounds quite healthy to DC Universe, and the funny thing about it is that it's more service. It can be more sustainable there to an extent because all the people watching it are paid subscribers, as opposed to Sci-Fi where it's just ads. It's just ad revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think DC Universe would be wise to look at it, because Young Justice was a great hit for them because it had such an established fan base already for going back years, obviously, but it drew in, I assume, quite a healthy number of subscribers for them. I mean, I'm saying I assume because they've greenlit another season, so it must have done reasonably well. So again, this here, you can just funnel, maybe not all the audience, but hopefully enough of that audience to justify it by picking it up, giving it, even if it's just a third season, just to finish it off.
You could replace a Swamp Thing slot, essentially. Here, Krypton season 3 instead of Swamp Thing. There you go. Yeah. Have that. Now, it is worth mentioning, though, that when we stopped doing television from the multiverse, that I have not watched any more episodes of Krypton. I have essentially left it behind, which, while I relatively enjoyed watching it in the context of I'm watching all these DC shows, it's not something I felt compelled to keep up with if I'm not reviewing it. So, which maybe puts it in a sort of mid-tier of quality for me, where it's like, I don't need to see more of it.
That's true. I mean, worth noting, I watch very little outside of what we review. So, even things I like, it tends to fall by the wayside for a significant amount of time. I did plan on going back and finishing the season at some point. Now that it's cancelled on a cliffhanger, will I? I don't know. I mean, if it gets picked up by DC Universe, yes, I will go back and finish it. If not, maybe I'll never see any more.
But honestly, after this, which isn't as surprising and is understandable, but after Expanse, which did get saved by someone else, but most shows won't. And then obviously, I didn't like Happy, but Happy got cancelled after 2 seasons. I'm sure there was something else in the last couple of years.
What was the one that started alongside Killjoys?
Dark Matter. Yeah, that got cancelled after 3. So many other shows get cancelled relatively early on these days that it's hard to get invested in anything that sci-fi do. It's hard to get excited and be like, oh, what I'd be into. I hope this is good. So, and even Deadly Class get cancelled after 1 season, and people, I mean, we hated it, but people seem to like it. There was a fan base for it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't even know what the next show from Sci-Fi is that we'd even look at trying. Maybe it would have to look pretty fantastic for us to risk it at this stage.
Maybe that's just a sign that after a few years of trying to be an original content creator, that they're backing away from it now, and they're going back to just doing Sharknado movies.
If it pays the bills, right?
I suppose. So we have a release date here, a premiere date, I should say, a premiere date for an on Netflix show. We have Raising Dion, which is the Michael B. Jordan produced sci-fi superhero, this kid with powers thing that we heard about a long time ago. So there's some images to go along with this. No trailer as of yet. I'm sure that'll be coming soon. But that is going to premiere on October 4th. So that is going to be our first Netflix October show. And it's definitely something we'll be trying because it's right up our street.
Yeah.
Just to remind you what the premise of this is here. Raising Dion follows the story of Nicole Reese, who raises her son Dion after the death of her husband Mark. The normal dramas of raising a son as a single parent are amplified when Dion starts to manifest several magical superhero-like abilities. Nicole must now keep her son's gift secret with the help of Mark's best friend Pat and protect Dion from antagonists out to exploit him while figuring out the origin of his abilities. The image that I've got here in this article is basically they're on a lake on a little robot, and he's made lots of bubbles from the lake. It's a cool image. I can see it looking like quite a nice moment in the show.
Which I think is important, because what I will say is I feel style, direction are going to be very important here, because that is quite a generic sort of premise at this point, I think.
Honestly, going with this image and the idea of her trying to keep him safe, I'm getting kind of a... Obviously not the ending of where it's going to go, but I'm getting almost a Midnight Special kind of tone that it wants to be.
I feel like I vaguely remember throwing that out there when we've mentioned this before. And hey, if it can come close to that, I'm in, because I love that.
It doesn't have to be as bleak as that. As a TV show, I feel like it has to have more hope kind of sprinkled throughout. But
yeah.
But, I can see.
Well, I don't know. I'm interested in this because the premise at its core, even if it's generic, is up our alley. But it does have to stand out. It can't just be okay with that premise anymore.
Sure, but we'll definitely be checking that out. That's the 4th of October. And then another thing we've got a release date for on Netflix is The Spy, which is the Sacha Baron Cohen starring miniseries, limited series. September 6th this is coming, so this is the start of September. And yes... And again,
that's more like what I expect from Netflix, giving us about 2 weeks.
I know, which is why I'm still half expecting 1 or 2 things in September that we're going to end up checking out, even though they've not announced them yet.
Yeah, we don't have anything from them for September yet, I don't think.
And nothing big. I mean, there's a couple of miniseries that I'll check out, but nothing super high profile.
I'm not saying that there's nothing they've announced. I know there is, but I don't think there's anything for us that we're like, okay, that's on the list for sure.
Written and directed by Gideon Raff, creator of the Israeli drama Prisoners of War. on which Showtime's Homeland was based. It's the creator of Homeland that's behind this. The Spy, inspired by the legendary former Mossad agent Eli Cohen, who's played by Baron Cohen, who successfully goes undercover in Syria in the early 1960s. Cohen becomes close enough to ambitious military leaders and their rich friends to earn a game-changing level of trust about Syria's biggest anti-Israel secret initiatives. So this is not a comedy, because you hear Sacha Baron Cohen, you think it's going to be something stupid.
9 times out of 10, yeah.
Yeah, this is clearly him doing a bit of serious acting, because this is.
To be fair, he's actually a very talented actor.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not disputing that. But this is definitely something different.
Comedy's not for everyone. I'll give you that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually think some of his comedy is really funny, but I also think some of his other comedy is absolute garbage. He's very hit and miss for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Great Dictator, or The Dictator?
I think it was just The Dictator.
Yeah, The Great Dictator is Charlie Chaplin. That's actually a really good movie. The way bad mouth that's actually really good. But The Dictator was one of the most painfully unfunny things I have ever had the misfortune of seeing. So I'm just putting that out there. Anyway, so this is maybe an episode 1 try. For what
I'm intrigued. I think face value, I suspect I'll enjoy it more than you.
Very possibly.
Because as we know, you're a huge spy guy.
It depends on how it tackles it. It depends on how it's written. A lot of the standard ways to tackle a spy story don't do it for me. But there are examples, or there's exceptions where it tackles it in a different frame of light.
Oh yeah, it's not a hard rule. It's just generally speaking.
Yeah. So we got a couple of Netflix dates there. Next up, Apple released a teaser trailer for The Morning Show, which is the Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, and Steve Carell show about a daytime morning talk show, which talks about news and reveals things and so on and so on. You've all seen variations of this premise, this format.
Unfortunately, yes.
What's interesting, because the teaser is just the camera going around like an empty studio. You see like the green room, and you see the control room and all the various things, and the set and all the rest of it, and the dressing rooms, and it's all empty. And all it really is there, meat wise, is sound bites of dialogue that are obviously taken just from various scenes in the show. And I think the key thing here to talk about, and I didn't even make Connor watch it because I didn't think there was a point, but the key thing I wanted to bring up, just and mention that this happened, is the tone, because Apple, as we know, are aiming for nothing to be over PG-13. They don't want anything that's R-rated on their service, and I think there's almost like an expectation with that there's going to be certain audiences are not trying to hit. This teaser tells me this is very much intended for adults. It's definitely a serious drama, and it's not like some light-hearted dramedy, which you may, because Steve Carell's on it, so you might have thought, maybe it'll be
Jennifer Aniston, sure,
yeah. But it sounds more like a serious. It sounds more like an almost newsroom-esque sort of style show, but set in a morning talk show.
I mean, wasn't it? We're saying all these actors, they've got long careers in comedy, right?
They've also got a lot of drama, notably, Steve Carell and Reese Witherspoon
are pretty excellent in some dramas.
Yeah, they've all had their fair share of dramas as well, but given that we knew that it's not going to be above PG-13, so I think it's interesting that it's still going for kind of a mature tone. It just won't have harsh swearing, and it won't have nudity, which is, I mean, not that I think you need specifically those things. But
there are lots of quote unquote adult movies that are no more than a PG-13 and are still phenomenal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no reason why this can't still be great and do what it wants to do without that. It's just interesting to me, because I think you immediately hear, it can't go above PG-13, and yes, because Disney are very much doing that.
You feel like it's tame because of where we are now with HBO and Netflix.
Yeah, but if you look at Disney Plus, though, they are definitely going for something where everything is going to feel like it's at most appealing to teenagers, right? Sure, obviously adults are going to care about it and want to watch the Star Wars and Marvel things, but everything's going to be something that appeals to teenagers, at the very least.
But Disney can get away with that because it's Disney. And they're going to put everything else on Hulu, right? Disney have a brand of, no, this is what the Disney brand is.
Well, not sure, but Apple could have that brand. If Apple may not have a brand for creating content yet, but they certainly have a brand, and there's certainly nothing to. If they wanted to say, hey, we're going to be the competitor to Disney, where we do stuff for teens and lower, and that's our target audience, they could have done that, and they might have been quite successful at it because they're Apple, and they can just pump money at it until it works.
Pretty much, that's how half their shit works. They have the best marketing guys in the world.
Yeah.
Like I don't even mean that, you know, in a joke. I dislike a lot of their products, but Jesus, their marketing.
Yeah, I'm not an Apple fan. Just overpriced.
No, but I mean,
the operating system's bleh.
When they can sell an iPhone at $1,000 and comfortably sell that consistently.
Not to me.
Well, no, not to us, but you know, to more than enough people.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
not an Apple
best
guy.
marketing guides in the world, and they have had that for decades at this point.
And I once upon a time owned an iPod because, as far as MP3 players went, it was actually the best for a while in terms of just.
Well, we're gonna have a Zune.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but there was lots of other options, but it was clearly the best one.
It was, yeah.
And the only Apple product I currently own is an iPad, just because when I was getting a tablet, it was by far the highest resolution screen, and that was the sole reason.
I haven't owned an Apple product since my iPod Classic died, probably over a decade ago now.
Yep. Yeah. No, I feel it. So anyway, so this is, I believe, the first real trailer, or even just teaser trailer of any Apple original series. So it's notable that we're getting to the point now where, you know, Ensign this fall, where we're getting to that point where we're nigh on these things
so
existing.
It's interesting that it is launching at a comparatively similar time to Disney Plus, right? Which is November, I believe.
Yeah, comparative, yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, so that's Apple TV Plus. I love how they've got the same name. It's Apple Plus and Disney Plus.
I suspect Apple are actually going to get out before Disney. I know. Obviously, Disney we've got a date for, and I don't think we do for Apple yet.
Apple like to launch things quickly, though. They like to just come out and say it's available tomorrow.
They typically give you about 3 weeks warning. Is I think their standard.
Which means that they're going to be like Netflix with their premiere dates and be like, "Hey, this is out in 2-3 weeks."
Yeah,
they're going to be dicks about it. Thanks, guys, because it's that.
Do we even know if they're just binge for right now?
You know, I don't think we know that, actually. You're right. We don't know if they're weekly or binge.
Obviously, Disney we know isn't. They're doing weekly content.
I'm glad. I'm actually glad by that fact.
Obviously, we know Hulu is mostly weekly, but they have the occasional binge thing.
What would you guess? If I was to ask you, if you had to put some money on it right now, just for funds, what would you guess? Because I think they're both pretty like possible. I don't think either one's like out of the realm.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say binge. And I think my argument for that is they want to target the Netflix, Amazon audience, because I think they're the established kings, you know, at the moment with that. I think they want to target that a bit more. I think they're less concerned about Disney because I think Disney are going to do what they're going to do no matter what, because they've got that brand. They've got Marvel, they've got Star Wars. People are going to watch those shows or they're not. There's no direct competition with that in the same way. I think Apple, we've seen over the last year or so how much content they've greenlit. I think they've got enough to do it to throw out binge style.
I would still rather weekly if I
would rather
if they're making the choice.
We know we prefer weekly, but I think we're in the minority of the population now with that feeling, or at least in the age ranges that they're targeting.
Well, I mean, for us, I think it's just about because we do reviews. For our schedule, it's just easier if it's weekly. It's just much easier. But what I will say is the argument I think for binge for them is that, because none of their content is previously established, all of it's completely new things. For the most part, there's maybe one or two things that are kind of based on a book or whatever, but I think to try and tempt people into watching it, saying the whole season's there for you to try is a lot more of a sell right now. Whereas because Disney have things that people already care about, it's very easy for them to just sort of hook people along.
Well, this is the thing. Disney, when it launches, I think they're putting a couple of episode ones up on day one. But they're going to have all their back catalogue where on its own is for a lot of people is probably enough anyway to subscribe. So it's like, hey, you've got for the rest of the the week until the next episode comes out. You've got everything else there still. Apple, we have no idea what they're going to have outside of their original shows.
But you say that as if you're expecting anything else.
I'm expecting them to end up with something on there. I think because they're creating an entire service.
There's almost an equal argument though either way though, if you put it that way, because either they have like, because even if it's another week until the second original, let's say the morning show is their day one show, right? That's what goes up on day one. Let's just say it's another week until the next show. If people binge that over the weekend, there's going to be like 4 or 5 days with like nothing else to watch. Alternatively, what they could do potentially if they were going to put up things weekly is actually start like say 5 shows in the first week, just one per night.
Stagger them.
Yeah, and that's way there's a new thing to watch every night should you want to. Potentially.
Which isn't the worst idea. I think we've said before Netflix should try that.
Yeah, I'd love that from Netflix.
Yeah. But I honestly have no idea how Apple are going to handle it, and I'm not worried because, like I said, they've got the best marketing guys in the business. It doesn't matter what they do; they'll still pull it off. Because
here's the thing that Netflix are genuinely missing out on with the binge style, and this goes for Amazon as well, is that people are still talking about shows that are weekly, weeks later because there's a new episode out. Whereas with a Netflix show, with an Amazon show, after the first week, no one's talking about it anymore, and we see that reflected in people watching our reviews as well. Like, there's a drop off after a certain point. Like, it clearly diminishes quite a bit.
Yeah, usually after about a week and a half.
Yeah. So there is a benefit to having a weekly where, when Game of Thrones was on, for example, like, people are just, it's renewed excitement every single week. There's a renewed.
It's true. Like, Amazon have dabbled in the past, like, because the Grand Tour, which was, the Top Gear guys doing their not Top Gear on Amazon, they put that out weekly. Every season has been weekly, and part of that's cynical. It's like, hey, they advertise it and they spent a lot of money on it. They want people to come and pay for 3 months rather than just one. I get that, but I think it works as well. I think there's people come check back because it becomes a habit, a viewing habit of every week I'm going to go and watch Amazon, rather than just I'll watch it for 3 days and then not touch it for a month.
It's also a lot more time for them to advertise your other shows they do, that are launching in the meantime. If you're just there for the 1 month, you'll see the same few ads maybe for that month. I mean, I say ads, I just mean other things on the homepage. Really, is what I mean.
Yeah. Although, admittedly, Amazon do sometimes play ads before their content. Yeah. I mean, they're always skippable, and it's always just for their own content. So I don't personally mind that, but I wouldn't be opposed to Netflix every so often throwing in a 10-second ad for another show at the start that I can skip.
As long as it never goes beyond that 1 10-second thing.
Oh yeah, sure. Like I said, Amazon I think do it at the start of some episode. I don't think it's every episode, but it's not just episode ones. But it's always skippable, and it's always just for their own content. So it bothers me less when it's just their own content.
Anyway, let's move on to some other news. Get through some of these a bit quickly. Remember the Nivers, Connor? You're excited for that, aren't you?
I've never heard of it.
From HBO, also created by Joss Whedon, who happened to also create the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They've added 6 more people at the cast list. We have
6.
Kieran Sonia Sawar, Elizabeth Barrington, Ella Smith, Viola Pretijon, that's a hell of a name, Anna Devlin, and Martin Ford have all been cast to go along with the rest of the cast, which includes Laura Donnelly, Olivia Williams, and Nick Frost, which we mentioned last time the casting news for this came up. It was ordered straight to series in July. It's an epic science fiction drama about a gang of Victorian women who find themselves with unusual abilities, relentless enemies, and a mission that may change the world. So, just to remind you, this is still ticking along, and more casting's happening. So, I presume that's probably most of the main cast done at this point, though, because there was a lot of names last time.
It's quite a hefty amount, yeah. But, I mean, I don't recognise any of those actors.
Yeah, there is descriptions for each of those characters. I will not bother with those because I didn't do it for the last list because there was like 12 people on the last list, so it was going to take forever.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give favoritism and do it for these 3. So but yeah. So there you go. We'll move on then to basically we're on to the shows already. We've got Netflix have ordered an animated series, an action comedy series called Agent King. Yes, Agent King is the name of it. So it's Elvis related.
Yeah.
Yes. From Priscilla Presley and John Eddy. So his wife, his widow, is involved in the creation of this show, bizarrely. I
think it's more just a estate sort of.
Probably. It's probably just to give her a credit because she kind of had to sign off on it.
And it's like she okayed it all, probably.
Yes. Elvis Presley trades in his white jumpsuit for a jetpack when he is covertly inducted into a secret government spy program to help battle the dark forces that threaten the country he loves, all while holding down his day job as the king of rock and roll. That is your pitch for this animated series.
Also, I know the showrunner for this is one of the people who works on Archer. So, sign me the hell up.
Here's what's going against this. Is that Bubba Hotep exists, and I already have the best possible thing you could ever do with Elvis in the history of mankind.
Why not both?
Elvis teams up with JFK and fights a mummy who's stealing souls from a rest home.
Maybe this is just a prequel to Bubba Hotep. Or a sequel, depending on how, when it's set. It's like, hey, we like that work you did with that mummy, so come on.
What I want to say about this is just to recommend that everyone go see Bubba Hotep as quickly as you can, because it's fantastic. Bruce Campbell plays Elvis. It's beautiful. So go do that. Next up, HBO has ordered a female-led skateboarding comedy from Crystal Mazel and Leslie Arfin. It's titled...
I feel like you're being really shitty this week.
Why?
Because you usually lead with the big headlines, and
No. The thing you're expecting is at the start of the dramas, which
it is. But I'm saying it should get priority.
I never do that though. I have literally never done that. If it's a new show, it's a drama, it goes at the start of the dramas. The comedies and animated stuff always come first.
I know. I'm just trying to get priority.
Well, tough. Not happening.
Well, it was worth a try.
So this is called Betty. The series is set against the backdrop of New York City and will follow a diverse group of young women navigating their lives through the predominantly male-oriented world of skateboarding. And that's basically it. That's the pitch.
Okay.
6 episodes ordered, half-hour episodes, skateboarding comedy.
Sure. Doesn't sound like it's really for me, but all right.
Okay. Always great to love an enthusiastic response from the ginger one over there.
Well, I mean, are you particularly enthused by it?
I'm here to tell you the stories. You're here to react.
No. You also give your opinions. Otherwise, take back any opinion you've ever had on the. You were just saying you had an opinion about that. Well, why should this Elvis show exist? Because we've already got Bubba Hotep. That was an opinion.
Shut up. But I mean, I'm not fussed. It sounds fine. It's all about tone. It's all about what the comedy's like. HBO comedies are very hit and miss with me. For every Curb Your Enthusiasm, there's... I can't even think of an example, but there's definitely ones where I've seen like bits of, and I'm like, I just like this style of humor.
I'm not sure there's any that I've really liked that much.
Yeah, that's fair. Fox is developing a comedy based on the Australian series Mr. Black. Single camera comedy. Based on the Australian show, half-hour series follows the acid-tongued Mr. Black, a man who has one dying wish: to break up his adult daughter with her boyfriend, whom he happens to live with. He lives with the daughter's boyfriend. That's a weird setup. The original series, which premiered in Australia earlier this year, was created by Adam Zwar and produced by CJZ for Australia's Network 10. So
I just want to say, I feel like there's a slight weird sentence structure going on. I think he lives with both of them. Like the daughter, he lives with his daughter, and the boyfriend lives with them as well.
Okay. That's not as funny.
It's not as funny, no, but that's the way my brain processed it.
You're probably right. The sentence structure implied to me that he just lives with a boyfriend, but yeah, maybe live with both.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it was a weirdly written sentence, and my brain is just assuming that this is what it is. Yeah, I could be wrong.
It's an interesting one. I feel like it's a family living together comedy. It's just oddball setup, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
Yeah. So I don't think he's actually dying. I think it's just that he's old. Like, because he says he's got one dying wish, but I don't think he's actually... I don't think we're going to start the show and he's like, oh, you're terminal. Like, I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's just that he's old.
It's way funnier if he is, though. And it's like, I could die at any minute. I've got to do this before I go. It is way funnier in that scenario.
I will say thank you for Variety for at least your autoplay video is automatically muted. I at least appreciate that.
That's good of them.
Yeah, that's helpful. So we're out of the non-comedies now. We're out of the dramas, the hour-longs, and Yeah, there's a quick bit of news here that we have to get through. Our Connor won't let me hear the end of it.
Oh, I won't.
Yeah, there's going to be a Star Wars show on Disney Plus.
Another Star Wars show.
Yeah, it's a third one, and this is the third one that we've got.
It is, yeah.
Yes. And it's going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they've cast some Scottish dude to play him.
Some Scottish dude, huh?
Some Scottish dude.
Do you want to read out his name?
I don't know. This is a funny pronunciation. I'm not good with Scottish names, you see.
Says the Scottish person.
That was the joke. It's always funnier when you explain the joke, Connor. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Piece of shit, Ginger. No, I'm not doing it. You can do it.
I don't know. You're here to tell us the news, remember?
I've said everything I want to say about it.
That's not telling the news. Tell the damn news. The people have a right.
It's my show. I'll tell the news however I see fit, and I feel like I've done the news. Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show on Disney Plus with some Scottish fellow in the lead role. There you go.
Yes, so, some Scottish fellow who may have played him before. Would that be a correct assumption?
I mean, that may be correct. I might have jettisoned the memory of any Star Wars out of my mind that wasn't the original trilogy, because the rest of it's kind of worthless. So, something like that.
He says he's still going to watch the first episode.
Stupid Mandalorian's coming soon.
Mandalorian we know is coming in November. We haven't actually seen a full trailer for that yet. There was a leaked one from Comic-Con, but I believe D23 is next week.
Oh, I can't wait.
So we'll probably get the formal announcement of this there, because obviously this was kind of rumored for a little bit. There was some lower profile, but then I think Deadline picked it up and were like, "Hey, no, our sources have confirmed it," which is as good as confirmed. So I imagine we'll get the formal thing. We'll get him coming out on stage and doing it there. I imagine we'll get a proper trailer for the Mandalorian and maybe some more about the Rogue One show as well. Yeah, I'm expecting we'll have more Star Wars news next week. I'm sorry. Well, maybe the week after, depending on when it happens.
Yeah, if they all listen to Saturday, we probably won't be talking about it next week.
No. But it starts on the Friday, so kind of depends.
Like, to be serious for a second, like I have not been that interested in Star Wars for a long time. The thought of even more Star Wars just kind of makes me roll my eyes. So I'm not thrilled about this, and I especially hate the prequels. I did not like anything about them really.
No, I know, which is why there's no point really going into this that much. I mean, I'm excited because I think there's quite a lot of potential here. There's been a little snippet of what we've got of Obi-Wan between that time period in a couple of comics, and we got one of the best moments in Rebels was to do with that. That was fantastic. There's a now non-canon book called Kenobi. It was one of the last ones to be published before Disney took over. That is kind of a perfect template for the story that you want to tell here. So if it's something along those lines, it's basically a Western. It's him trying not to get involved and save the town, but can't help himself. That's kind of a perfect story to tell in like a mini series, which is what I believe this is going to be. So yeah, I think there's potential for a good story here that Pete will hate just because it's Star Wars, even if it's actually quite good. Which I'm convinced is what's going to happen with The Mandalorian, because I think if you took away the Star Wars thing, Pete would be interested.
It depends. If I get any Jedi, I'm probably going to be bored. Jedi are boring.
You had Luke. You had Yoda.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to say it. Yoda's the worst part of Empire Strikes Back.
You're a terrible person.
It's the worst part. The Han and Leia stuff's great. Yoda with Luke on the little swampy planet. Nah.
Dagobah.
I wasn't asking. I don't care what it's called.
Well, I'm telling you.
I don't care about that. Like, it's definitely like the pacing just drags whenever it hits those scenes, because I just don't give a shit about the Jedi trading bollocks. The space monks are the worst part of Star Wars. I've said it.
I suspect there will be very little space monks in the Mandalorian. There might be one at some point in the realm. I'm not like saying, oh, there definitely won't be any, but I suspect that will very much not be the focus.
Yeah, I was tempted to joke and mispronounce his name earlier when I was doing my whole joke. Instead of saying it Ewan, I was trying to think how I could say it to be funny, and I've just realised if I say it just right, it sounds like Ewok. Ewan. Ewan McGregor.
Oh, Jesus. I hate how long you sat there to try and think about that as well.
That's what I'm doing. I don't care about the show, so I'm sitting here thinking of stupid jokes.
Thinking of how you can mispronounce a name instead.
Yeah, I just... Do you know the problem with having Ewan McGregor back in any way, shape, or form? All I can think of when I think of him is the goddamn Jedi Council and them sitting down and talking about things, and I hate every part of it. I hate it.
Okay, I can appreciate that mindset, but here's a question for you, genuinely. Right, they want to do a Kenobi thing, right? Okay, there's an unexplored period. They're like, this is prime. It's a character people like. We want to do it. Would you genuinely think they should recast when you have Ewan McGregor at the ideal age as it is?
I say you CG Alec Guinness.
Jesus Christ. For the whole show.
For the whole show. The most expensive show ever.
Oh, dear Lord.
I am, of course, kidding. Well, the truth of it is, though, I just don't want an Obi-Wan show. I don't. It's
no, but like on the premise that it is going to exist either way, would you rather them completely just recast and pretend the other stuff didn't exist, but it's still a Kenobi show and it's still canon and the other stuff did happen, it's just a different actor, or just use the same actor?
Yeah, it's just cast Nick Offerman.
I don't think I take Nick Offerman seriously as Kenobi.
And I want him to just be Ron Swanson with a robe on, and just that's the show. I'll watch that.
To be fair, I'd watch that as well.
I'll watch the shit out of that. Anyway, let's move on. There's more Star Wars, yeah, I guess. And I love how I like to be kind of balanced, and I like to try and be positive and put spins on things the best I can. But the one subject that I will happily be a little whiny bitch about is Star Wars because I think it's funny.
Yeah. Can I just a slight tangent, side Star Wars story? There is a bit of news that obviously I didn't even bother mentioning before, but there was a trailer for the Resistance season 2 this week. It's coming in I think it's starting in October, but it's set during The Last Jedi, give or take, and by the sounds of it, it's going to run kind of parallel to the end of that movie, maybe slightly beyond, which will be interesting. And then they did say it's its final season, which sounds like it's more of a choice of where they've set it and the timing rather than just, we're cancelling it after 2 seasons, because they know going into it, this is the last season. And I suspect we'll get another animated show, maybe announced at D23. Maybe we'll have to wait another year to find out.
Great. I'll be honest. I seriously do not remember there was a show called Resistance. That was like news to me when you said that.
It's the kind of the ones with all the ships, and it was like the anime sort of style. You've definitely seen a trailer at some point,
sure,
or some stills. We've spoken about it before.
Sure. I know those clone rebels, and that's it. That's all I know.
Yeah. This is the one that started right after Rebels.
Okay.
God, I miss Rebels.
Moving away from Star Wars, thankfully. So we have Alpha Girls in development at TriStar TV. It's a drama based on Gillian Guthrie's praised new book, Alpha Girls, the women upstarts who took on Silicon Valley's male culture and made the deals of a lifetime. That's a long one. So why is it with books having these ridiculously long titles?
They're like academic paper titles, aren't they?
Yeah. So they're developing a TV show based in this. So Alpha Girls, released in May by the Crown Publishing Group, tells the true story of 4 women who became stars in the cutthroat, high-stakes and male-dominated world of Silicon Valley and helped finance and build some of the foremost companies of our time. The story takes readers into the personal lives of the women as they navigate men, money, marriage, kids, cancer, betrayals, and power. That was a very elaborate way of saying personal and professional lives, I think.
Well, here's the thing.
Yes.
Did it say anything professional in that last chunk there?
Yeah, I think you could argue money.
All right, fine.
I think money, betrayals, and power, you could argue, are all professional, potentially.
That's fair. Yeah, because it was borderline. I was thinking about it as I was reading it, but
And apparently one of them gets cancer, or at least one of them has a close family member or something that gets cancer.
There's cancer in the show, is what we know.
Yes. It's a fine title. I think Alpha Girls on its own actually sounds quite good as a title.
I agree. Yeah.
Not necessarily the sort of topic that I'm inherently interested in, but again, for all I know, this could end up being a very witty thing with really strong characters. It just depends on how it's presented. It could be very dry, or it could be very engaging.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if this ended up having like the writing quality of something like The Deuce, for example, like it would be, oh, okay.
Yeah, that'd be different.
Yeah. That's asking a lot, though.
Yeah, not a lot of shows have the writing quality of The Deuce.
Yeah, the creators of The Wire, give me a quality from what they would give it. That's asking a lot.
He had a little bit of a moment on Twitter last week, didn't he?
Did he? What did he do?
Oh, he got drunk and started ranting at AT&T, going, "Hey, you don't own me." And yeah, I believe he signed a deal with someone else now.
Okay, so he's leaving HBO.
Yeah, I think it was like Amazon or Netflix or something.
I mean, I don't know if he actually had like a proper overall deal there, but clearly a lot of the things, because he made Treme there, he made The Wire there, he's made Deuce there. He's clearly been sort of in the HBO wheelhouse for a long time.
It was a wild set of tweets, and then it was him the next morning hungover complaining about the director on set. It was like, this is glorious.
On set of Deuce? They still shooting that?
I don't think it was the Deuce. It was someone else.
Something else.
But he was on set complaining, going, "Hey, director, we don't need this many takes."
Yes, I've got a headache. Let me go.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, you're the writer. You probably could slip out if you wanted to.
Yeah.
He's probably also a producer though, so maybe he can't. But all the same.
Yeah, probably. But it's worth a read just to see it.
So yes, UCP, that's Universal Cable Productions, who do shows for both USA and Sci-Fi. This sounds definitely more like a USA show. Has optioned Jesse Barron's 2017 Esquire true crime article, "The Girl from Plainville," to develop into a TV show. It's considered the definitive account of the events that led to Michelle Carter, a young woman from small town Massachusetts, to stand trial for her boyfriend Conrad Roy's homicide, as prosecutors argued that her calls and texts fueled the suicide when they were both teens. So this is about someone who essentially drove someone to suicide through text messages, and they're going to turn it into, I presume, a miniseries.
Sounds like a serious, high-quality drama, but it's going to be on USA, so it probably won't be.
Yeah, this is a thing. If this was on like HBO, or if it was on, maybe a streaming service, or maybe even FX, I could see FX doing this.
I can see this on FX.
Yeah, and being fairly decent.
USA have the one hit
for us. Yes. From our standards.
In terms of quality, they've got the one thing, and nothing else has ever come even close.
Who is Mr. Robot? So,
they're still saying this year.
Yeah, Joe, I was just saying that because that was the catchphrase in season 1. But I also realized that if I was on Jeopardy, which I've never seen an episode of, that's how you would ask that question. I think that's how you would do it. I've never seen Jeopardy. Jeopardy was never a thing in the UK. I just want to make that clear. It's not like
it wasn't.
Yeah, I only know of Jeopardy because it's something that's referenced a lot in TV shows and shit.
Pretty much.
Next up, Ernest Hemingway's A Movable Feast is in works for TV with the Village Roadshow Entertainment Group. So that's a thing that's happening. You have a bunch of producers lined up for it. Being told as a Hemingway origin story, A Movable Feast is Hemingway's earliest known work about his years as a poor but ambitious young expat journalist and writer in Paris in the 1920s. The book was first published in 1964 and is described as the author's apprenticeship as a young writer while he was married to his first wife, Hadley Richardson. So it's kind of a memoir of his early days. So it's going to be about Hemingway, which I didn't know until I read this. I had no idea he even wrote something that was kind of a memoir. I just
Not me either.
So and Village Roadshow, it means it could end up anywhere. We have no idea what they're making it for. They've not got a network attached yet or a streaming service or.
It means it's probably quite a way out, yeah.
Again, it's obviously a mini-series, I think. given it's based on a book.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
And it's based on a real person. It's not like Handmaid's Tale, we can just keep extending the story.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think because the book is presumably early life, I think there is scope that should they choose to extend it, they can just pull from history rather than the book.
His biography. Maybe someone wrote a biography for him later about the rest of his life.
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
He's Hemingway. I'm sure the rest. I'm sure there's a few.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's other material they can, pull from post the book if they choose to.
Okay. So Mark Tufel's popular book series Zombie Fallout is being developed for TV. PBD award-winning producer Stephen Adams and marketing executive Theo DeMont from Buffalo 8 are partnering with other producers to turn this into a show. So obviously we have a couple of zombie shows that exist right now, mainly Walking Dead and its spin-off. Soon to be spin-offs because they're developing another one. And there's been a couple, there's been Z Nation, and that had that spin-off on Netflix and stuff.
That was terrible. Yeah.
So adaptation series is in development in 2016 but never gained traction. Now the IP has fallen into the hands of producers that are determined to bring the story of Zombie Fallout to television. So it's got 14 books, it's got audiobooks, it's got graphic novels, it's a dark comedy that follows the community of heroes, monsters, cowards, and misfits struggling against the world dominated by zombies. The adventure is about a family that is hunted by zombies as well as a 500-year-old vampire named Eliza. Do you know, them saying it's a dark...
more interesting.
Yeah, them saying it's a dark comedy and then throwing in there's a 500-year-old vampire named Eliza actually makes me way more interested in this than I was before reading that description.
Everything up to that point was, so it's Walking Dead.
And then he said, no, it's got a sense of humour and there's vampires. I'm like, okay, all right.
It's different. Yeah.
It's a bit more wacky.
I mean, it doesn't mean it'll be good, but it's different.
I've got some more here for the story. At the centre of the story is Michael Talbot, an average middle-class Marine veteran. Unhappy with his monotonous life, Michael is bracing himself for the apocalypse and is a germaphobe that grew up obsessing over zombie movies. See, I'm getting I'm getting a bit of tone from this character's backstory. That said, he secretly always dreamed of a zombie apocalypse.
Don't we all?
Fallout examines the conflicts that arise when Mike, encircled in what seems to be a safe haven, realizes that the survival of his family depends upon the very same people. So I thought I said very for some reason. The very same people that he tried to avoid in life. In his townhouse community neighbors of the HOA board members. So basically, all the people he didn't like in his town, all of a sudden he's the one who's like protecting them, and he has to like sort of trust them to sort of hold up their part of the work. Because it's not a one-man job. Protecting a community is not just one person's thing.
No.
Of course. So, no, I mean, yeah. Sounds interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, this is no network, no nothing attached to it in terms of where it's going to be distributed. But, which I feel this is happening more and more often, where we're just hearing about production companies making a show and they're going to sell it to networks later.
I can see this on basic cable.
I can see it in basic cable. I can see it in I could also see this in somewhere where they'll let them swear and have gore. I could see like Amazon taking this and being like, yeah, this will be our zombie show. That'll be wacky and funny.
Yeah, I can see that. I think we can rule out AMC because they've got a million Walking Deads. I don't think it's a HBO show.
No, I can agree with that. I could see it maybe on Netflix because they've cancelled Santa Clarita Diet, so maybe they'll swap this in.
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, they've tried zombie things a few times now.
That's true.
So who knows? Amazon's not a bad shout, and maybe Hulu. I don't know. I'm not really feeling Hulu.
I wonder if FX could almost do something with this to pair it with What We Do in the Shadows, like as a sort of like alternate them kind of thing.
That's not a bad shout.
I can maybe see that.
Or even double bill on the same, What We Do in the Shadows, as a lead in, or put that after this.
Next up, ABC Censor Studios wins the rights to a book series called Jessica Darling, and the pilot adaptation is going to be written by Rebecca Serle. So it's a book series called Jessica Darling. Pilot adaptation is being written right now. Ready Player One producer Dan Farah is behind it. And so it's ABC Productions. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll be ABC, but there's a good chance it will be. It tends to.
They probably get first look.
Yeah. So They're exploring directors and actors right now for it. The 5-book series spans the life and romances of the title character, Jessica Darling. And it already sounds like an ABC show. Starting with the character's teen years in the first 2 novels, and growing into her college and post-college life in subsequent novels. So, there you go. Really straightforward. It sounds like it's the sort of... I can almost see the tone being of a sort of not quite Desperate Housewives, but kind of that dramedy kind of style.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see that. Moving on, BBC has bought Vienna Blood crime thriller from Sherlock writer. I just read the headline verbatim there for some reason. I don't usually do that, but I did it in this case. Vienna Blood is going to be done by the BBC in the UK. They picked up the Austrian set crime thriller, which is based on the best-selling Lieberman novels by Frank Tallis. Steve Thompson, whose writing credits include Sherlock and Fox's international thriller Deep State, is writing the series. So we got Max Lieberman here, is a brilliant young English doctor studying under psychologist Sigmund Freud. He meets Oscar Reinhardt, an Austrian detective, and the pair go and tackle some of Vienna's most mysterious and deadly cases. I'll be honest, this sounds like it could be a fun premise. Admittedly, I'm seeing what the BBC will do with it as a costume drama, and I'm just
you know what I'm getting horrifying flashes of? That one we watched with Luke Evans.
Oh, I almost said Penny Dreadful. It's not Penny Dreadful.
It's not. You know the one I'm on about though. That
it's the one
detective drama.
It was Ellie Fanning was in it with him. It was.
Was it her?
It was A Fanning. I think it was Ellie Fanning.
Man, it says a lot if Ellie Fanning couldn't save that show.
Yeah, I think because it was them and then Daniel Bruhl, the Alienist.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that
took me a while. I got there.
Shite. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what I was picturing when you were reading that.
Yeah. Fox has given a pilot order to legal drama The 12, based on the Belgian series called D12. I love how close that is. D12.
I'm going to take a wild stab and assume that translates as The 12.
Yeah, it's TWAALF. The D12. D12. The show examines one high-stakes case each season through the perspective of the 12 jurors. Okay, that's a concept. I mean, it's on Fox, so it'll just be a boring legal drama, but in the right hands, I might not hate that premise.
Yeah, if you told me this was on, I don't know, somewhere interesting, that would be interesting. But on Fox, yeah, it's a legal drama.
Yeah. So, you know, like the jurors' lives, because it's basically like a really fancy 12 Angry Men essentially concept.
Sorry, so you said the jurors' lives. Are you getting personal and professional?
Hold on. As the courtroom narrative unfolds, the jurors' secrets come to light and their lives unravel, ensnaring the 12 in a messy personal and professional consequences.
Yes! We got the phrase itself.
I actually thought you weren't going to get it there, and then the next part was, and it has consequences in their personal and professional lives. There you go.
I was like, I was already like, yeah, it's close enough. Spirit. But then they threw it out word for word. It's been a while.
Yeah, through drifting interpretations of fact, it becomes clear that the justice is never truly blind. There you go. There's your description. Excellent. Next.
Worth it just for that.
Showtime has become the home of the adaptation of Mervyn Peake's novel Gormenghast. It's a book series. It's become
I've
a
actually
TV show.
heard of this.
You've heard of this, oh.
The name is unique enough that it sticks in my head.
The Cabler has given the project a script to series order that will co-produce alongside Fremantle, and the writer's room has opened officially. The books centre on the inhabitants of a city-sized castle in Gormenghast. Its denizens are only vaguely aware of how and why the castle came to be, but over the course of the series, the powers that have held the castle in place are challenged by the ensuing disruptions. Reveal its fantastical secrets. Sorry,
Was that them or you?
That was me. I had a brain fart with the.
Okay.
Yeah. So, So, but a bit of a low-key fantasy story then.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds kind of interesting though.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this comes down to strength of writing. but with good writing, I'm interested.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the final story this week, we're back to Netflix. We're coming full circle. Netflix has ordered a young adult series called Ginny in Georgia, and set some of its cast. So they've got 10 episodes of Ginny in Georgia, which is described as a mother-daughter coming-of-age series. Newcomer Antonia Gentry and Brianne Howie, who was in The Passage, that was that one-season show on Fox that didn't last very long. They will play the titular daughter and mother, respectively. So I hope these photos here aren't of the mother and daughter, because they look like they're almost the same age. So, but there could be other people on the show. So it centers around Jenny Miller, an angsty 15-year-old who often feels more mature than her 38-year-old mother. Oh, maybe it is mother-daughter. I mean, I'll buy those 15 years between them. I'll buy that much.
Okay, yeah.
She was a young mum, though. I mean, come on, 15's young.
Yeah, no, it is young.
Yeah. Because I looked at those photos and went, oh, there's maybe 5 years between them. But, I'll buy that there's maybe 15. I'll buy those 15 on TV rules.
Okay.
But yeah, so feels more mature than her 30-year-old mother, the irresistible and dynamic Georgia Miller. After years on the run, Georgia wants to put down roots and the picturesque New England and give her family a normal life. For Ginny, that means navigating the prestigious school, rising popularity, and complicated love interests.
I suspect it's not for us.
I suspect that too. What's interesting, that was almost professional and personal lives, but only if you count school as the professional half.
Honestly, I half considered it.
I wouldn't, but it's very close.
It's borderline, yeah.
It's borderline. But that was the last news story I've got here for the week.
A couple of things I saw that, I mean, I haven't got the details in front of me, but I know Amazon have been producing, they're making a Wheel of Time. They're adapting that. They cast like 6 members this week.
They cast a few people, yeah.
Yeah, which again, they were all unknowns, which was the point of the article that I saw. That the mostly fresh faces, but just that's ticking along. It's happening.
Yeah, but you see that show's not getting ran by Joss Whedon, so I didn't think to put it in the news.
Yeah, okay. There was some casting for Halo, the Halo show on Showtime as well. Last week, they cast Cortana, which was interesting.
Oh yeah, it was last week. I didn't get stuff from last week.
Why not?
Because I did decide I would just do this week's news.
You never do that.
That's a new rule.
Since when?
Since this week.
It's a shit rule.
I made a rule and I stuck to it. All right.
It's a shit rule. You always do the 2 weeks. So that was interesting. I thought I should mention it.
There wasn't a lot. That's why there was no solo news last week when you couldn't do it, because I looked at when the news was out and I went, yeah, this isn't that interesting, and just left it behind. So when I was doing news this week, I went, I'm not going to bother getting that news from last week. It was dull.
I mean, some of it was interesting enough.
Name one other thing.
Do you know what's really annoying? Is I did have another thing like 20 seconds ago and I'm forgetting it now.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame. You look like a fool now. Oh, how will you ever live this down?
I know.
So
I did see some set images. They're shooting The Boys season 2 already, well underway.
Oh, we knew that because they had to interrupt filming to come to Comic-Con.
Yeah. They've got a cut already of the first episode of season 2, like complete.
That makes me think we're going to get it within a year. No,
I happen to agree because presumably it's probably going to be 8 episodes again. They've already done 1, so yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, no, that's good. And in terms of stuff that we've been reviewing, of course, this week, Mindhunter Season 2 just came back yesterday by the time this goes up, and the first review will already be up. And we're going to try our best to actually hit that daily. It does mean that the videos, in terms of the audio podcast, the reviews will always go up fairly late in the night, because it'll always be after we record, as opposed to us keeping them for the next day. But we're going to try and keep it daily. So the time will vary, but we're going to try and get through them as quickly as we can, and keep that consistent as best we can. If it doesn't happen, it's Connor's fault. I'm going to guarantee you that right now.
Hey, I want to point out, after my illness and toothache, I came back. I was ready to catch it, and then Pete fell asleep one evening. So
once there was one day delay because of me after a week and a half of you.
There was, but I just want to say, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be my fault.
It's still at 99% you.
After the last 2 or 3 months, I don't think that's fair anymore.
All right, I might have eked down to about 97%, but that's about it. That's about
93 at a minimum.
93. Come on now. Give yourself too much credit here. So Mindhunter reviews are going up. So episode 1 will be up already by the time this goes up. I am still doing season 3 of Glow, I should say. Season 3. The first 3 are up for sure at the time of recording. Episode 4 should likely be up as well by the time this goes up. And I've just been kind of chipping away at those as we've been doing other things. So hopefully you're enjoying those. You can also check out a solo review I did yesterday as well. It's already up for another Netflix show that started, which is called Green Frontier, which is a Colombian original from Netflix. And I wasn't interested enough to keep going because obviously we've got a very busy schedule, but I didn't think it was bad either. So if you're curious to see what it's like and what my thoughts on the first episode were, I can go check that out too. You've got something to throw in.
Other stuff we did this week. We finished off the season for Handmaid's Tale.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. So that was an interesting final discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We tried season 2 of The Terror, The Terror Infamy.
Yes, and I hated the first episode, so we're not doing any more of.
We did, and you tried something with Tara on HBO. I can't remember what that was called.
Or Boys, which is actually an Israeli like HBO original, and very hard hitting. It was exactly the sort of thing that I asked Tara to do because she liked doing Chernobyl. It's kind of like based on a true story, kind of recent history kind of thing. And we were kind of into it. It wasn't. I mean, we both loved Chernobyl immediately, and this wasn't immediately a love, but it definitely has a lot of potential from the first episode. So,
so you still got carrying on with that next week, I take it.
Yeah. Episode 2 actually aired the same night as episode 1. We just didn't have time to do both. I think episode 2 will be coming sometime this weekend from us. But cool. Yeah, so we'll be doing more of that.
There's nothing else due in the next week in particular.
No, nothing in particular. I might see if they've got anything else coming from Netflix next week and try an episode 1, but other than that, nothing immediately. But what I will say is, of course, there's classic reviews of Star Trek going up. There's classic reviews of The Twilight Zone going up every week as well. So check out those on the YouTube channel and have a look see. Yeah, that's it. And I've also been doing Firefly. That's been kind of every other week as opposed to every week recently, just because of the busy schedule. But that's still ticking along as well. So
yeah, given that things are after Mindhunter, things are looking a bit lighter. I imagine we'll probably get it finished reasonably quickly after that.
Don't promise things. Don't do that.
I said imagine. I didn't promise. I didn't say, oh, this is definitely going to happen. I was like, well, I imagine we should. Non-committal.
Anyway, that is the news. That is everything. So, of course, you can let us know what you thought of the news we talked about in the comments below. You can like and subscribe. You can, of course, rate the audio podcast on your podcast app. Apple Podcasts especially puts a lot of weight in those ratings and reviews, so give us a 5-star review on there. You can support us financially by going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and showing your support by giving us $1 or more per month. And for that $1, you get some bonuses, some exclusives, and all that kind of thing. And you obviously get other things as well at the higher tiers. But mainly, you can get sponsorships. You can get do all that kind of thing. You can ask us questions, and I think if we're going to get asked TV questions, unless it's about a specific TV show that we review, we'd probably tackle TV questions on the news. So mftvquestions@gmail.com, or of course on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. I almost said at gmail_fuzz. At mailed_fuzz for questions. And but especially the email, and we'll maybe pick them from time to time and read them on the podcast if people have TV questions they want to ask both of us. Obviously, I do weekly streams, so people get to ask me stuff a lot. But if you want something that you want both me and Connor to answer, that's the place to send them. mftvquestions@gmail.com, and just put in the subject bar that is for Almost Cancelled, so I know what show it's for. Otherwise, I'll just briefly mention, this is not TV related, but I think it's worth mentioning here as well. I've been recently doing a top 100 movies countdown on the channel, and I've got the first 2 parts up so far. So the first half of it's up out of 4. And what we're doing is we're asking you guys to send in your top 50 movies of all time to the same email address, to mftvquestions@gmail.com. And the movies are getting points based on how high they rank. So obviously it has to be very clearly numbered. This is number 1, this is number 2, so on and so on. And there'll be a results show in September. And the deadline for sending them in is the end of August 2019. And the results will be in September. And there'll be probably a 2-part video going through the results of what the top 100 voted for by you guys are. So you're sending your top 50s, and there'll be a results show for a top 100 based on those.
This is something we used to do quite a bit in the Facebook group. Always led to some fun community nights. So I mean, hopefully people get involved, and this is fun.
Yeah.
Just maybe more will happen afterwards if people enjoy them.
There's already talk of doing a horror specific one for October for streams, because that seems seasonal and something that people would be into. But yeah, so go and check out my top 100 and sort of just hear. I explain it on that as well. Not that there's any more depth than what I just said in the last like 30 seconds, but
I imagine it's similar to the top lists that we've done together before.
Yes. So yeah, go check that out. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?